Hi guys, this is Christy Fulk with Create with Christy. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. Well, I've got some good news for you. The One Stamp at a Time Blog Hop is back. We took a few months off, but we're back and going. This is our first one back. And our theme for this month is to use a card sketch from the annual catalog. And if you have the annual catalog, if you go to page 22, you can see these great card sketches or layouts, whatever way you want to call them. And the one that I chose to use was this one right here. As you can see here, we had the choice of making 2 cards or a card of a 3D project. And I decided to do a 3D project. And you're probably like, oh, I haven't seen those before. The products, well, you're also getting a sneak peek of some new products that are in the September to December mini catalog. I cannot open this up. I can only show you the cover right now, but isn't that cute? But this will be available September 4th, and from September 4th on, I'll be able to show you inside. But this is actually part of a suite, and the suite is called Reindeer Days. And I'm using everything that comes in that suite, so you're going to be able to see all of that here in just a minute. But I was able to make this little box is actually one of the products, and I decorated it, and then, of course, our card. So if you'd like to make this card along with me, for those of you that are demos, you might already have the products, so you'll be able to start right away. For those of you that are watching that are customers, make sure if you want to get these products after you see them, save this video, and that way you can go back to it when you can start ordering them on September 4th. So you can get all your supplies together. I have a blog post link down below that has the list of everything that I used. Now, the supply list right at the beginning is not going to be able to have the brand new products on there. I'll have the card stock and things like that on the list. Once these become available, I'll be able to add them to that supply list. But I'll talk about all the names within the post too. So I want to give you a heads up on that. But that blog post link is down there in the video description if you're interested. And make sure you go there because the blog hop is there. So that we can see what the other ladies made. And they're all very talented. And I don't want you to miss out on those. So you just click on that blog post link and scroll down until you see the list of everybody. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, before I get started with the projects, I thought I'd show you everything that comes in the Reindeer Days Suite. I can show you the products ahead of time. This is the real red and white baker's twine. So perfect for your Christmas projects. And like I said, I'm going to use all of these products in these projects. There are also these. These are called book treat boxes, and I'll be showing you how to put that together. And the package comes with 10 for $10. And then we've also got these. I love these. The real red and white adhesive-backed peppermints. Aren't those adorable? I was really excited to get those. Those are super cute. And there's also this one of our large embossing folders. We've got another large one. This one is called Forever Plaid, and you'll see this in action here in just a minute. And of course, there's a designer series pack. It looks like I'm not getting in the whole screen, but it is a 12 by 12, so you'll get to see all of it. Isn't this really cute? And I do believe, let's see here. Some of these look like they go with the die. Yep, there's a die for that one. So the ones that are prancing like that. Now that one doesn't fit, so it's ones that look like this that you can die cut out. So that's cool. But aren't those cute? And we've got this side, a lot of nice presents. Then we've got this one. I kind of copied on this guy a little bit on my card. Then we've got this. This is actually the print that I'm using on the card. Then we've got this one. And these. So this is kind of almost like a vintage type bundle. I think this one gets die cut. Oh, it sure does. There we go. So the mama deer and her baby can be die cut. So we've got those. Then we've got, oh, I didn't show you the plaid side. You got to remember the plaid side. We always need a good plaid for Christmas, I think. Then we've got this one with this side. This one, isn't this paper? This paper is just adorable. I love it. And this side. And then last but not least, we've got the cute Reindeer Fun Bundle that's part of the suite. And it is 2 sheets of dies, which I love. So if you only buy the dies, this is $40. If you only buy the stamp set, it's $20. So that would be $60. But if you do the bundle number, it's only $54 because you save 10%. So like I said, this will be available September 4th of 2024 if you're interested. It's Reindeer Fun. And what I'll go ahead and I'll show you the stamps I'm using. You want to get the Merry Christmas one out, the May All Your Days Be Full of Cheer, and the Snowflake one right here. That's actually all I'm using. Oh, no, and the tree. That's right. We're going to stamp that on the inside. And then with the dies, this is what I'm going to show you how to make a die-cut deer. We've got 3 layers here, so we need all 3 of these. And we also need the wreath and the bow for the wreath. So those are all the dies and the stamps that you need. Okay, normally I don't start with die cutting, but there's more die cutting than stamping, so I thought we'd just go ahead and get this done. So with our die cutting machine, you need to do the platform, the base platform, the die plate, and a standard cutting plate. I have a bunch of little pieces here I'm going to do at the same time. This is a piece of basic beige. It is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 inches. Early espresso, it's 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. Pecan pie, which is 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. Garden green piece, that is 1 1/2 by 1 1/2, and a real red piece, it's 1 by 1. Don't worry about writing all these sizes down. I'll have all these sizes listed on that blog post, and that's that link I was telling you about at the beginning. It's down in the video description. Okay, I'm going to take the wreath die. That's going to go right here. The one that has the antlers for the deer, that goes on the early espresso piece. Then of these 2 dies, this is actually the one that goes in the middle. It's only really got the eyes that are die cut out. That's going to go on my basic beige piece. And one that's got a little more openings to it, that's the top. That goes on the pecan pie. And last but not least, we've got that little bow die. And that's going to go on the real red piece. Then we need to grab another, let me get that on there a little better. Then we need another standard cutting plate to go on top. I'm not going to worry about taping them. I just need to make sure they're all still on the cardstock, and they are. I'll run this through. I do use tape when it's stamped because I definitely don't want them moving then, but I don't need to when it's just die cutting cardstock. Now, it looks like I might have chopped his, oh, it did just fine. Shoo, got right there on the edge. It moved on me. So if you're worried about that happening, either make the cardstock just a little bit bigger, or you can still use the tape. That way it doesn't fall out on you or move on you too much. I totally missed that. Normally I catch it when those things happen, but I think we're going to be just fine because it looks like it cut just on the edge, so it's going to be just fine. I was afraid I had to cut off ear. Oh no, that looks perfect. Might be a little bit, but I think nobody's going to notice. Put this to the side. Here is the base part of the deer. And then we've got the middle piece. Poke those little pieces out. Oh, need to loosen that up some more. So let's poke a couple more here. There we go. Now we've got this one. Then we've got the little bow. And it's ready. The bow is so cute. Okay, so I've got all the deer pieces out. Oh, the last thing to get out is the wreath. And it has those nice little lines in it to make it look like a wreath. I like that. Okay, I have a couple more pieces that I need to die cut. This is a 3x3 piece of the Reindeer Days DSP, and DSP is Designer Series paper, in case you didn't know that. And then another 3x3 piece of the basic white. I'm using the Stylish Shapes dies. If you don't have these are my go-to dies. I use these all the time, and I'm using the second largest one this time. So that's the one I want to get out. Actually, I could just do one, because I only got the one circle. I'm going to go ahead, because this paper's kind of thin. Actually, I'm going to have the white go on top. The white is the one I definitely want to make sure that the stitched things show up. If it doesn't show up as much on the DSP, it's not that big a deal. But because the paper is thin, it works just fine, and it does die cut the little stitched edges around it just fine. So there we go. I should be able to get through both of those at once. Sometimes you can get through 2 pieces of cardstock with these two. But I knew I could definitely do it with the DSP. Now they're kind of stuck together because of that stitching, but they come apart. But there we go. So those are all ready to go. Okay, now I'm going to do the embossing with the Forever Plaid 3D embossing folder. And I'm actually going to emboss all the pieces I need for the card and for the box at the same time. So this is a 3x4 inch piece of real red. And then I have a 3 3/4 by 3/4 of real red, and these are both the same size. These are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I put these down here. You do want to make sure that these are straight. If you're nervous about them moving, you can always tape them down a little bit, but I think they're going to be fine if I just put this down. That looks pretty straight, so now I'm going to hold these real tight so they don't move on me. Bring in my die cutting machine. Now all I need is the base platform. I will put this down, make sure they are all still straight. I'm going to use the specialty plate. This is the gray plate that comes with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I'm going to hold this down just to make sure those pieces don't move. Now that I know it's through here, I know it's got a hold of all the cardstock, so I don't need to worry about it moving on me anymore. Let's get this out of the way. And they are all embossed. They're not die cut, they're embossed. They're not perfectly straight, but I am okay with that because all of the lines have little waves in them, just a little bit. They're not perfectly straight to begin with. So these are the 3 that are for the box, and this is for the card. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side because I'm going to do the card first. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and start making the reindeer for you. So then we'll just put all the card together. So get all of the deer pieces. That includes the wreath and the bow. And the first one, I'm going to put this one right here because this is the base of the deer. This is the middle section. It is smaller. So this is going to be when I put the glue on. So I'm going to turn this over. You can use seal with it or Stampin' Seal. With die cuts like this, when I'm trying to stack them up, I use the glue because while it's still wet, I can scoot that cardstock where I need it if I don't lay it down right in the exact spot I want. So I'm just putting glue. I'm not putting real thick. If I do get a glob, I can always take some of it off and put it on the silicone mat. But this looks pretty good. I'm not even squeezing anymore and kind of just squishing that glue, spreading the glue a little bit. Now I think I need a little bit right here with the nozzle of the bottle. Turn this over. And I think it's better to start with the ears, get those lined up. And when you don't see any early espresso around the edges, then go ahead and push it down. And there's one thing I want to show you on this, which I thought was genius. See those little notches in the eyes? You're thinking, oh, what's the big deal about that? And this needs to be moved just a little bit. There we go. I could tell it wasn't just right. You're going to see that in just a minute. It's pretty cool. I'm going to turn this one over now because now this is a smaller one. If I put it on here, I'd be afraid of having glue in places where I didn't want it. Now with this ear, I'm definitely going to make sure I get some glue on this top part because it's a little bit thicker. And then I might spread a little bit on the bottom, but it's just as long as I get on the top, that's good. The bottom part of the ear is just a little bit thinner. I still might pick up a little bit, and I'll have some on my glue tip. There we go, and that put a little bit on there. So that is ready to go. Once again, I'm going to line up those ears at the top. Okay. Now I've got a little bit of the base showing there just because I clipped it off just a teeny bit, but that's not enough for me to worry about. Now take a look at those eyes. Remember those notches I was showing you? It puts little highlights in the eyes, and that just makes it really look, I don't know, if they were just the dark showing through, it wouldn't look as good. I think that's what makes it look super cute. I really like that. Now to put him inside the wreath, what I did, I'm just going to put a little line here, glue here along the very edge at the bottom. Then I'm going to turn it over and put some right here where I know about where the eyes are at. So kind of in the middle, you kind of see where his head is by the shape of this. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's just the general area. I'm going to put the bottom of him in my wreath, and then where that glue was, oops, put that big and try to show you, it popped right off because I hadn't pushed this down yet. I want to make sure he's centered, so I'm kind of looking at the spaces here on each side, try to make them so they're about the same width. Then push it all together. Because you can see that's where the wreath is. There's some glue showing here. No big deal because it's going to be going on the card. Nobody's going to see it. But I made sure it was thick enough that this is glued on really good. I'm kind of pulling it up and it's glued because I put the pressure on it. That's the one thing with our multi-purpose glue. Once you've got it in place, make sure you put pressure down on it. That makes the glue soak into the cardstock and it won't move anymore. But while it's wet, it's kind of nice to be able to move it around. Now with the bow, I'm not going to put any glue on those tails. I definitely want to make sure I have glue in the bow center, and then I'm kind of tapping and just getting a little bit of glue on here. I love my silicone mat because I'm getting glue on that. No big deal. Once it dries, I can just rub it right off. And the bow is going to go right here at the bottom of the wreath. Since it's wet, I can kind of move it until I like where it's at. And then push it down. And our little deer is done except for putting the little embellishments we're going to put on here in just a minute. But isn't he adorable? I love him. He is so cute. But I still, like I said, I was amazed when I saw the little eyes. I thought, oh, I didn't have to put any marks on there to highlight his eyes. They've already made that on there. They were really thinking when they put those dies together. So now he's ready to go. So let's go ahead and start making the card. This is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of real red. I'm going to line those corners up. Like so. Get my bone folder out. Then I'm going to grab a piece of garden green. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on. This is that 3 by 4 piece. Put this on. That I embossed just a minute ago. So it's the largest of the real red pieces. Also, that'll help you out if you decide to emboss them all at the same time like I did. Now, I want it more to the left. That's how that layout was, the sketch that I picked out. So I've got those on there. And now that that's on there, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the card on there. So put some sealed on here. And this will just go right in the middle of the card base. Now in the sketch, it looks like there's really not a matte like this green. It's just the card base. I originally was going to do that, and I really didn't want it to just be green. I liked having the red border around it. So you can definitely change it up just a little bit. A lot of times they don't show another layer, but you can definitely have that option. Layouts are just to get you started. So I've got this here. There's going to be one other little change I make too, and I'll tell you about that here in just a minute. Now I'm going to grab this circle here. I'm going to grab my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm going to take the Snowflake stamp and my Pool Party ink pad. And I'm just going to stamp snowflakes all over this. You definitely need it around the edges, but I went ahead and did it around the whole thing because I didn't want to have any white space because the deer is going to go on top of this. So the middle part will be kind of covered up. But it's not that big a deal, but I want to have a little snow scene on the back. And the only other stamping we need to do, need to grab this little strip. This is a 3 by 1/2 inch piece. I'm getting my Merry Christmas. I think I'm all done with the pool party, so I'll put that away. Get my real red ink pad out. And I'm going to stamp the Merry Christmas right in the middle of this, of this piece. Almost dropped it and got red on it, but I caught it in time. There we go. Then you need to grab the last white piece that you cut out. This is a 4 by 5 1/4. This is for the inside. And, oh, I do want to leave the real red out, but I'm going to do the garden green first. And I'm going to grab the tree and just stamp it down here in the bottom left corner. And then I'm going to take the greeting that says, "May all your days be full of cheer." Ink it up with the real red. Get that on there, top center. There we go. And since that is all ready, I'm going to go ahead and, that's all the stamping too, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the inside of the card before I forget. Get that greeting over here because I'm not quite ready for that yet. Put this in. So we've got a cute inside to our card also. Now I'm going to bring in these circles. The first one is this one right here, the DSP one. And I went back and forth. You could also use this side too. It looks cute also. But I went ahead and stuck with the one I'd originally thought I would use, which is this one. I'm going to have the top kind of go to the, line up at the top of the real red piece, but kind of have it go over it a little bit on the left. Like so. That's how it looked on the sketch. And this one, I'm going to line the bottom up again, but I'm going to have it hanging off even more on this side for the deer. Maybe move it over just a little bit more. There we go. Now I'm going to bring in my deer, and I want him popped up with dimensionals. So I'm going to grab these. I'm going to put one down here where the bottom of the deer and the wreath meet. That'll kind of hold that on together a little better. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the wreath up here with the ears. Because that's close enough to the top, it's going to keep it raised up, no problem. There we go. That should be plenty. Take your pick tool. I'm going to scoop those paper backings off. And it's just going to go right here in the center. I'm going to lay them down first. Kind of bent my bow there for a second. Let's see if that's where I want him. Bring him down a little bit. That looks pretty good. He looks centered pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and put him down. And now I'm going to take the greeting. And I'm going to take the piece of twine that I cut. This is a 12-inch piece of that real red and white baker's twine. I'm going to tie it in a bow. Like so. And I kind of want the loops to be big on this one. So I'm going to make this one a little bigger. I just keep playing around with it until it looks good to me. I kind of want the loops to be close to the same size. So I'll bring this one down a little bit. And then it's going to be going on the back of this. So I want to kind of see if that looks long enough. And that does look pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some seal, put it across the middle here. I think I'm going to bring my silicone mat back in too. That way I can kind of lay this here. I think I'm going to lay it a little straighter. Get stuck in my finger. There we go. And that is the way I want it to look. So that looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead and push it down. Okay. Then I can turn it over because I want to pop it up with dimensionals again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a dimensional right here on the end to grab some of this twine. That way it's on there even better. Do the same with this one. And this little knot here will keep that middle raised, so I'm not going to worry about putting a dimensional there. You definitely can if you want to. Then I'm going to bring this in. Now, if you look at I'll show you the sketch here in a minute. This was going to cover up my cute little deer. That's where they had that greeting. I decided to put it at the top. And if you flip the layout over, this would actually be in this spot anyway. So it's like flipping it over. Okay, and those tails, actually, this one, I'm kind of liking that. I might trim this one down just a little bit. That one is about the same size as a loop. That one was just a little bit longer, so I'll take that off. Okay, the card is almost done. I'm going to grab the real red and white adhesive-backed peppermints. There are 3 different sizes. The large ones, we've got medium ones here and small ones up here. I am going to grab a medium-sized one, and that is going to go right in the middle of the bow. And then I'm going to grab a large one. Actually, I'm going to go this direction, I think. There we go. I'm going to put it right here. And then I'll grab a small one, and I'm going to put it right about there. So the card itself is all done. Now it's time to make the box. Now, before I start making the box, this is the part that's going to be shown on the outside. You can see the sticky tape here. They've already got that on there for you, so it makes it a lot easier. I'm actually not going to use this because I didn't want to have to rip that box open. If I wanted to get the treat inside, I didn't want the person I'm going to give it to. So I'm going to turn this over so all of these adhesive things are facing down. You can kind of see these score lines. I might bend this a little bit so you might be able to see them a little better. I'm going to bring in those real red pieces here. I'm going to turn this one over, put some adhesive on it. And it is going to go right here in the center of this section. So here's the score line. So I'm just centering it on this front piece. You could also take a corner rounder or put it right up against here and kind of cut along that corner if you want them to be rounded, but I was okay with them being square. Turn this one over, do the same thing. And I'll put this one in the center. Looks like I got this one in the center a little better. This one's not so much, but that's okay because that is the back of my my piece, so I'm not going to fret on it. It looks pretty good, though. Okay, so this is the way it's going to look. Now we've got this. It really doesn't matter since this is going to, the plaid is, it can be the other direction, no big deal. Once we get the deer on there, that's when it changes. Oops, this one's out. Let me grab my other one. I've been wondering when that one was going to go out. I've been using it in some lives, and it never went out. I was surprised. It finally got used up. Okay, so this one will just go right in the middle where the binding is at. So just to refresh, these two are these two outer ones are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and this is 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay. Now I'm going to grab this piece. This is a piece that is 2 3/4 by 1, and I'm going to put this right here on this the latch part of our book treat box. So you know what? I will just put seal. I'm going to put a couple strips up here and one here. Yeah, the seal works just fine. I forgot. But the one where I did the couple strips, that's going to be on this end. I'm going to line this edge up with that score line. Also make sure it's all... if you want to use glue, you definitely can, because I would have been nice to be able just to scoot that down a little bit. But now I'll just lift it up again. Our seal you can lift up within the first 10 minutes of putting it down. But also, I don't put it down all the way. If I like it, then I push it down all the way. Now, I still want to have that nice little curve. So I'm going to grab my paper snips, put them right up against the box curve, and then cut, moving the box more than the scissors. But as long as you stay up against the curve in the box, it's going to be just fine. There we go. So that is ready to go. So I want you to hold it this way. I'm trying to think which would be easier. I think what we'll do, I went ahead and did die cutting for these. You already saw me make the deer, so I just made another one. So it's made exactly like we did with the card. These two pieces, this was die cut out of a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch piece of that Reindeer Days DSP. This one was done out of a 2 by 2 basic white. And at the dies for these, I used the number 3 die, which is 1, 2, 3. Always count the smallest one is the number 1, is for that white one. And the next one, number 4, is the one that die cut this. So you always saw me die cut those with the others, so it's just done the exact same way. I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. So as long as this is over here on the left, I know this is the front, okay? So I'm going to put some seal on here. Put it right here in the middle. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not going to measure it. Once again, I'm just going to lay it down so I can kind of move it around. That looks good. Now I'm going to push it down. Okay, these I think I'm going to put on here and just... Actually, we need to stamp this. I wanted to have those snowflakes on there again. So grab your pool party. And I'm going to stamp all over this. Now, not much of this one shows because it's a small circle. But it does show enough. I wanted to have those so it might match with the card a little better. Now I'll put those to the side. I'm going to go ahead and put this box together and then we'll put these on. So here's the bottom of the box with the tape. So you see tape right here. First, let's go ahead and burnish all of these folds. Whenever you make a box, burnishing is when you fold on the score lines, and that makes it so they're ready to go when you start to put it together. If you start putting it together and they haven't been burnished, it makes it a lot harder because it doesn't want to fold as easy. And especially with this being a box, it's a little thick. It's not just made out of cardstock. There we go. And I'm going to make sure those are still folding good, and they are. Oh, that one I think I need to do again. Okay, now the way to put these together, I'm going to do this side first. I'm going to take the paper backing off of this one. I would only take the paper backing off one at a time. These get folded in. This gets wrapped around like so. Before I put this down, this is the part with the adhesive. I'm making sure that these are pushed in so they're straight, so that they're right up against the edge of this. And then I push this down and squeeze it. So there we go. That's what the inside of the box looks like. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. Take that paper backing off. Wrap this around before putting this adhesive down. That's right here. I'm going to push these sides, make sure they're right up against the edge of this piece, and then bring it down. There we go. That makes it so everything is 90-degree angles. So we've got that ready to go. Now with this one, this is the bottom. And that's another reason I didn't put the reindeer on yet, because if this ends up being upside down, I don't want the deer to be upside down. This, it doesn't matter because it's going every which way. But I'm going to turn this over. We're going to take those, well, before I take the backings off, this score line right here, actually, we didn't burnish this yet, so let's burnish this one quick. Okay, so there's only a couple things we need to fold here. And this one's got 2 score lines in the latch. There's one right here, too. Okay, now we're ready to go. I want to put this edge here right up against the score line, but then center it around the top and the bottom and the right, okay? So get that figured out before you start taking this off, because you don't want to stick it on by accident and have it all cockeyed. And you've even got lines here, and that kind of helps you too. So you know where the adhesive is, which I thought was genius, because it does kind of help to see that, because you don't want to go too far over and then you've got the adhesive out here. So I don't have this on the paper yet. I'm kind of going to angle it so it's up against the score line. Look at my top and bottom, mainly the top and bottom. As long as I've got on the score line, I know it's okay over here on the right. Then bring it down, push it down, and it is all ready to go. So make sure you get it up against the score line, still holding it up above it, and make sure the top and the bottom look pretty close. Then bring it down and push it down. And like I said, and once it's stuck, it's stuck. So you're not going to want to rip it off again, because it is very strong adhesive. That's why I didn't want to use this, because once we put that down, they're going to have to rip that open. Everything's going to be messed up. So this is what I came up with. Here, I'm sure somebody else is going to come up with it too. But I've got this. This one I'm going to put on with regular adhesive. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some seal on here. Right here. Kind of where those, even going over where the deer and the wreath intersect, just to make sure it's on there good. But since this is going to be flat, it should be fine. I don't want to have any on the antlers. Actually, I didn't want to put any on the ears, but it's going to be just fine. I'm going to angle this down here. So when you do it, just make sure you at least get it here on here and maybe the bottom parts of the ears. You don't have to go all the way to the top. But if you do, it's no big deal, because this is going to work out just fine. I'm kind of lining up the bottom of the wreath with that stitched edge right here. And it's ready to go. Now I'm going to put this on with dimensionals, but I don't want to put any dimensional over here. Okay, so let me grab my dimensionals quick. Oops, wrong ones. Here they are. Now I'm going to keep my finger over here. This is the side I do not want any dimensionals on. So here on the left, now that it's turned over, it's on the left. So this is one I do not want. So I'm going to keep my finger there just to remind myself. Sometimes I need to help remind myself of things. So now we've got 3 dimensionals on the other side. I'm going to take the paper backings off of here, like so. This one is going to go right in the center of the wreath circle. Okay, push it down. Then this will just slide underneath there and keep it latched. So that way they can just open it up and get their treat out and still have the box intact if they want to use it as a decoration or if they want to use it to give it away to somebody else. Then they don't have to tear it up. So I would keep that backing on. The backing is on pretty good, so I'm not worried about that coming off. If it does have a problem, you could also put DSP back here to decorate it up like you did here, and then that would be covered up and you wouldn't have to worry about it. I just thought of that. I didn't think about that when I made this. But I might actually do that later. You could even just do it on this end here, not worry about this one. That way that is covered up and you don't have to worry about it coming off. But there we go. That is my treat box. Bring in the card. So I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to look down in the blog post link, because this was part of the One Stamp at a Time blog hop. And we are now doing them the second Tuesday of every month. We used to do it on Thursdays. Now we're doing it on Tuesdays. So it's the second Tuesday every month. We'll have the blog hop. And just click on that blog post link. That'll give you the supply list and the paper sizes to make all of these. And it will also have the blog hop. So you just scroll down there and you'll see the list of all the other ladies that are making projects. Don't miss them. I know they're going to be great. And I hope you enjoyed the blog hop. And for those of you that aren't demonstrators, all of these products. Well, the cardstock, of course, is still available. That's in the annual catalog. But all the Christmas stuff I used, that is going to be in the upcoming September to December mini catalog, and that starts September 4th. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Now, if you live in the United States and do not have a demonstrator of your own, I would love to be yours, and I'd love to send out your first set of catalogs free. So here's the annual catalog, and here is that new September to December that I showed you at the beginning. Just click that contact me link down in the video description. Give me your mailing address, and I'll get these mailed out to you. So there are the projects. So I hope you enjoyed them, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.